I went back home. I had many friends that helped me through it. And through those experiences, I really realized what mattered. And what mattered was not anything in the house, actually. It was nothing I saved, and it was nothing that I lost. What really mattered, it was the people that showed up, the people that called, the people that cared. And I realized how loved I was. I had not realized how loved I was. And I never wished that upon anyone, what I went through. Like my worst enemy, if I had a nemesis, I would hope this would never happen to them. But I do hope that everyone has a moment that I had after it where I realized how loved I was.
Hi, I'm Ben Earl, and this is my new podcast, Country Roads. It's where I sit down with some of my favourite country artists to talk about the places that have made them who they are, the landscapes that have shaped them, the towns and cities that have influenced their music, and the roads they've travelled on to find their own sense of home. If their lives kind of like were a series of postcards, where would they be from? This is where, together, we find out. This is Country Roads. And joining me today, live and direct from the heartland of country music itself, is Caylee Hammack. And I'm gutted we're not together in person because, firstly, I love Caylee. We did get to do a songwriters round there this year. And her voice, oh my gosh, I was sat inches from her on the stage, and I've just never felt almost like I felt lucky to be there. The power, the technique, just blew me away. And she's also so talented with a pen in her hand. She tells these amazing stories in her songs about the places she's from. So it was a no-brainer that I had to have her on the podcast. Caylee also has her own very distinctive voice. She's just distinctive in every way. Her look, the way she says stuff as well with her southern drawl. And she's leaned into all of that on her latest album, Bed of Roses, drawing on all of the lessons she's learned up to this point in her life, creating a world in every song. I'm sure you're going to love listening to her. She's Georgian born, but now in Nashville. She's a singer-songwriter, an author, a radio host as well. This is Caylee Hammack. I am so excited to welcome to Country Roads someone that I just think is the most incredible artist, has the most incredible voice, more importantly, the most incredible merch. I'm wearing a hat right now. Miss Caylee Hammack, welcome to Country Roads. How are you doing?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
Can't wear this hat for the whole thing because they can't see my face.
Oh, no, you're completely
I love
fine.
This hat.
It's so funny that you wore it. I absolutely love it. Thank you for repping it.
I wear it all the time. It's not as white as it was when I first got it. I'm not gonna lie. My son is with me here today. He's in the studio. He is 9. He said that you remind him of Black Widow. He started watching Marvel.
Oh, I love
Scarlett
that
Johansson.
so much.
You can take that however you want. I thought it was like a nice compliment.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I will definitely take that as a compliment.
So we're not together right now. We're doing this remotely. I can see your background. You've got a beautiful fireplace behind you. Whereabouts in the world are you, Caylee?
I am in Nashville, Tennessee, out in the woods a little bit outside of town. And right now, you probably can't really see it, but I have a lot of plants in my studio and my Essentia. I wish I was sponsored. But the thing is, I have all these plants because it's just now getting chilly here in Nashville, Tennessee. So I hauled all my plants in last night as I listened to new demos and work tapes. And I was like, killing 2 birds with 1 stone.
Oh, because you love nature, like gardening and stuff. It's kind of your thing, isn't it, as well?
I love it. And that's really what I'm drawn to also when I'm going to places is I love that I can walk through places like Chicago and I still can notice all the flower boxes and be like, there's still life here. There's something about even going to Central Park in New York and being able, like Hyde Park even. Ugh, beautiful. Kew Gardens, I'm obsessed. It's just something about being able to get pulled into nature anywhere I go that's very magical. And how also everything is kind of similar as far as nature goes, but also very vastly different in other ways. There's a lot of plants that, as I was walking through Kew Gardens in May, actually, when we were there, it was a lot of plants that I knew that I got excited about, and I was calling it out. One of my publicists had come and shown me around, and I'm just barking out these different names for things, and he's looking at me all puzzled, and he's like, that's not what we call it, but yeah, this is native here. And I'm like, this is so cool. I love that. It's finding familiarity in the unknown or the new, and it's beautiful.
I love that because I've chatted to a few people on this podcast and just obviously artists in general. And I feel like I'm quite a right brain artist. I'm quite
Okay.
logical. Whereas I feel like you're, I don't know if this is right or not, but you're the other side. And you're so magical to me. The way you see the world is quite different to me. And I'm quite jealous sometimes because we've had a few conversations like backstage at Country to Country at the O2. We were talking about stage fright, actually, I remember at the time. And the way you described it about connecting with like a higher purpose and just coming back to that moment and stuff. And I was just like, I wish I had a bit of that magic. And we're going to get into all that because I've loved looking up your history and your story. It's fascinating to me though, like having known you for a bit, I didn't realize you were quite shy as a kid. I just can't imagine you being shy. Your first performance I saw here, it was actually you tell the story because I heard you basically froze in your first performance at a talent show. Is that right?
Yeah. I couldn't remember the words. And okay, this is the coolest thing about that was I was 13 years old. My dad had encouraged me to sing in this local, little talent show, not a competition, just a place that the kids could show little things off. And it was on the corner of my hometown, Ellaville, Georgia. And I got up there, but as I was walking up, they started the karaoke track, and it was I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor, which, as the karaoke track goes, it's just one little, piano trill into it. It's maybe 4 bars, but it goes pretty quick. And, I stumbled. I was behind it, and I got up there, and I turned around quickly, and I go, "First I was afraid, I was
It's
petrified."
very apt first two lines as well.
Yes, and, the irony does not, escape me now, but the thing is, I froze, my hometown kinda circled around me, and they sang the words, and they got me through, and then I went home, and I laid down on the bathroom floor, and I locked the door, and I said, "God, I'm never gonna sing again. I can never go through that again." And my dad came to the door and he knocked and he said, "Hey, also, this is the funny thing. This is how, I guess country we are. But there was a guy in town, Cecil Shutters. He also worked on houses, but Cecil Shutters.
Wow.
It sounds like a little character in a game, like
Yeah,
Stardew Valley or something. Um,
yeah.
but he was a real guy, and I remember him in the back of the crowd, and he had a cowboy hat on. And he had told my dad, even though I had fumbled, he said, "Does she like singing country music?" And my dad said, "Yeah." And he said, "You need to look into Opry houses. There's these little houses where they play only old country, but if she likes old country, then she can get up there and sing for free and kinda, get the reins of it." So my dad comes to the door and says, "Cecil Shutters told me about this place. It's a little Opry house." And it's so funny that a few minutes before, I'm like, "I'm never gonna sing again, God." And then I go, "Well, where is it?" And, anyways, I'm very grateful that I had encouraging parents and, encouraging community around me.
Yeah, there does seem to be a theme with every artist I chat to. They have a very strong. I spoke to Neil Towns, who I know is a good friend of yours, and there is that community and that sense of where you come from, supporting you to have that sort of. I wouldn't say like a safety blanket, but just that platform to be like, this is who I am, and you can fall back on that kind of community.
Mhm.
Just to jump back very slightly, so like you said, you grew up in Ellaville, Georgia. I did look it up online on Wikipedia, particularly. You're on the Wikipedia page,
Of
which is
Ellaville?
amazing. Yeah, yeah, you're one of the notable people
Oh,
that came from there. Yeah.
wow, okay.
There's quite a few
Thank
people on
you,
there though. Like
Wikipedia.
it's a very small place, isn't it? Like 1,800 people or something. But there's like one big brick building in the middle, wasn't there, which looked stunning. I couldn't see anything else. But
Yeah, it's just, our city hall. Yeah, it's the building that gets decorated with Christmas lights every year, and I think the Christmas light stays on it. I don't know. We don't turn them on until November, so does it count? It's a little country.
but how small town? It looks very small town. But I mean, what was it like for you those early years growing up there? Did you have country on the radio? Were you listening, with your dad? What was it like?
Oh, yeah, it was always country music on the radio. WISK 93.7 was the radio station that we listened to, and you could call in and request songs, and, I just remember calling in and requesting different songs by Craig Morgan or Jamie O'Neal, and, um it really it was just a slow kind of life in Ellaville. I'm very grateful for it. It gave me this, like, slow, steady foundation and a small enough atmosphere where I could kind of explore myself, as far as a musician, and a singer, and there was a few talent shows, and then I could get up at church and sing, or I could go find little bar gigs, and I could sit into restaurants, and it was not high stakes, but it was a soft fertile ground to try to sow some seeds of like learning how things work. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to school in Americus, Georgia, and then starting to play little places there. And it slowly spread out. I started playing all of Georgia, all of Florida, and Alabama. And then I kind of watched, honestly, the people that came before me because Brent Cobb is from my hometown. Do you know Brent Cobb?
Not personally, but I've heard of him.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
okay. Y'all need to meet. He's rarely in Nashville now. He lives back in Georgia. I feel like he doesn't come to town much anymore. But incredible writer, incredible artist. And he came before me. He had this mixtape that he put out and he was selling at shows. And my dad got one. And we listened to it. And my dad said, "You know what? If this guy from our hometown can do it, why can't you do it? You should just try." And it really all it takes is just a little encouragement sometimes for something to grow and blossom in a kid's heart, and, that's what it took, and also close to us is Luke Bryan and Philip Phillips and Cole Swindell and Cole Taylor and Travis Stinning and John Langston and just a bunch of different, like, young country artists that I love dearly and I look up
They all
to.
grew up round your area.
Yeah, and my dad is a well driller, so a water well driller, so he loves to say it's something in the water, but,
That's such a dad thing, isn't it? It's
yeah,
such a dad thing.
such a dad thing.
What the Hammocks like? What's the house like growing up in it?
It was a house that was built a long, long time ago by our ancestors. We had a lot of carpenters in our family, and my dad got the house for real cheap at some point when he was younger, and he had to take it apart himself though because he didn't have the money to really have anyone do it for him. So he took a notepad, took it apart, moved it 20 miles, I guess, south. And after that, he rebuilt it with my mom's help, and we were raised in that house. We had a lot of property around us and a lot of woods. So I grew up in the woods a lot with my animals and stuff. But I had an older brother, older sister, and my brother listened to Southern rock, kind of taught me about the band and also like Bruce Springsteen, Leonard Skinner, Blackfoot, just different bands that kinda had an impact on me, and my sister listened to Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera. My dad loved old country and Motown. My mom loved Jim Croce and James Taylor and country, and, so it was just a mixture of everything, and I'm grateful for all of it.
It's funny because I can really imagine you in the woods, like just sort of running around. When you said animals, you mean the animals in the forest? Is that what you meant? Or
Yeah, so, I used to raise and release I still do, raise and release little critters, whenever I need to, but mostly squirrels. That's the easiest thing, and a lot of the time in fall time, we have hurricane, I guess, byblow of the winds. We're kinda inland, but we, have really hard winds, and squirrels usually nest around 2 stories up, so when they fall, a lot of the time they pass away, but sometimes, you can go out there and you can hear the babies crying, and once they fall, the mothers
oh,
don't sometimes come and get them. So you try to find them, you locate them, you wait to see if a mom's gonna come to them, and if they don't, after a little while, you pick them up, you try to get them warm, and you feed them. And you can raise and release squirrels, and they can still healthily go back to their habitat, and you can do it, healthily as well, safely. And, yeah, I just love little critters, but also had a lot of dogs, very mellow, mild, but wonderful, wonderful dogs, and, cats, and every single critter you can imagine. I would hope that I would come in contact with, but, I really do love wild animals and being able to help when I can and make sure I can release back.
oh, I've got this
Mhm.
image of these little squirrels, sort of, you're releasing them, they're just not wanting to go. They're just, it's like it's time to go, little squirrel.
Uh,
You're like, no, no.
well, they do cling at first, but they're really good about they're wild animals, they adapt really well, and they slowly kind of, taper away from you and taper away from the location. They find other little teen squirrels, and then they run off, and you're like, "Well, have a good life."
Oh, I love that. I didn't know that about you. That's really, really
Sorry, I'm rambling
amazing.
about
Uh,
squirrels in our
No,
podcast
I
about
love it. I
music.
love it. So you had your breakthrough hit, Family Tree. I was just watching the video just now. You got so many like fragments of stories in that song. I mean, how true are those stories in that song?
Few true. One that my mother will not forgive me for. She says that she has never burnt chicken. I said, Mama's burning chicken for the Tupperware party tonight. 'Cause she would sometimes host those, and my cousins would always host that, and Mary Kay parties, and Avon parties, and Pampered Chef parties, and very big hosting, selling some item, kitchen item party. But yeah, she says that she has never burnt chicken. She only fries it to perfection. And my dad has this one chair in the kitchen that he always falls asleep on. The grandma and the uncle, making bail, her selling the Maytag dryer. Honestly, that came from a place of my dryer was broken. And I was like, what if I shouted out Maytag dryer in this cool, like country way? And then
You
they
get a free
reached out
dryer.
and they were like, hey, like, we'll just give you like one dryer if you post about it.
Yeah.
And
Was
I
that
was
that was the
like,
plan?
maybe,
Did you actually get one? Did you
maybe.
get one?
No.
Oh.
Yep. It's okay. I went to a scratch and didn't sell and I found one for cheap. But yeah, it was one of those things. I was like, hey, that could work. Sometimes I have to kind of warp or twist and distort reality and truth to get these songs where I really want. I always want to kind of lean towards like Sammy Kershaw and Dennis Lindy writing. So I'm like, what's the 10% that I can put in there that makes it feel like that?
The video is so good as well because it paints such a cool. It's obviously your first sort of big song coming through, so it feels quite poppy in a way. It feels like an
Yeah.
artist's first big video, but equally, like your personality in that video really shines through. Like I can feel the true stories, and also your shirt you're wearing, that little blue like
Mhm.
denim sort of rest. Is so cool.
Thank you.
Um, the thing I found fascinating about you outside of music, you're amazing at tennis, weren't you? Like really good at tennis.
I Yeah, it's one of those things where you think you're great and then you see some kids these days and you're like, "Was I?" Yeah, it was a big part of my life. It was the way that I was gonna get into college, and then I had a medical scare where I had a 2-pound tumor in my paraspinal muscles. They thought it was cancer, so they rushed us in and they, took it out, and once the true biopsy came back, it was just a godsend. They called and they said that 3 pathologists had looked at it and it was not cancer. And I remember feeling as if that was just like this I don't know. I think that anyone that's experienced a scare like that medically and then going to the extent of anyone that has had to go through cancer and experience that or is fighting it right now, it's just such a scary situation. And I had just a tiny little taste of it. And I remember this relief of going, you know what? It feels as if God's almost giving me this type of wake up, the second chance revival of, look, if you want to do something, you better do it now. Because my brain was like, I would play tennis. I would use that and maybe I could get a scholarship. That's like my best bet out of all the things that I could do. And I was like, if I get a scholarship, I can get to Nashville. And I was like, and if I get to Nashville, then once I graduate and I like go to medical school and I do all these things that I feel as if I'm supposed to do, um, and I think that I want to do, then I'll do music because I was scared of such that I just that big of a dream, I guess.
Yeah, but that plan kind of falls apart in your head in a way because, like, you're 16 when you get told you have cancer, inverted commas, which you don't have, but for a couple of weeks you believe you do. Is that right?
Yes. And,
Gosh.
the surgery kept getting prolonged because I was sick. My body was just kind of, my immune system was very, very low. And yeah, it was a very stressful time. But the thing is, it really made that moment of getting the call and they said, we're so sorry that, we've scared you with this, it's just that feeling of, okay, I have to take this because not everyone gets that call of, "It's clear, actually. I'm so sorry." And I said, I have to take this." So I started writing about that experience. I started writing about taking these pain pills when they, took it out before they tested it. They had cuffed some of those muscles, so they just cut away a little bit more of the muscle than normal, and because of it, it just took me a while longer to get able to, move around, walk, kind of get comfortable again in my body. So I was taking a lot of pain pills. That sounds bad, but I was. They had given me a lot, and it really helped me be able to get back to school early and be able to do what I needed to so that I wasn't held back another year. And I wrote a song on GarageBand called Addictive, and I tried to relate it to like my love at the time. At 16 years old, I just got my first kiss, and it was just this myriad of experiences at 16 years old that really helped me wake up, I guess, and go, I need to really focus in on music and just try it. And I tried it, and enough people encouraging me, I really started focusing at 16 years old.
Yeah, I think that's amazing because the thing is, you could have gone either way, couldn't you? I mean, I know faith is really important for you in your life as well, and I think having that at that age, I imagine, because it could have been a massive knock on your confidence, couldn't it? I think it's amazing you turned that around as well to be a positive experience. I think it's absolutely incredible.
Oh, well, I'm grateful for it now, but the thing is, I do know at the time, it took God kinda slapping me upside the head, honestly, in that moment. It was, I thought I could just rush back into tennis, I could rush back into basketball and track and whatever I, physically used to do, and that wasn't quite true. I got back into tennis, and I saw my ranking just falling and falling and falling, and it was moments where I would play really well, we would be, lobbing back and forth, and I couldn't make a certain turn. My back would catch or pull back, and I was having a lot of muscle spasms. And I realized that I was not going to get the scholarships that I thought I was going to be able to
Yeah.
get, the ones that I felt I was supposed to. And I feel like that was just God going, hey, like, I get that you think this is the way, but this is not it. Let me guide you the other way.
Well, there is a lyric in your song Family Tree where it says, "A few of us are on fire to get out, and some just want to stay home." Do you think? I mean, obviously, you love your hometown, but did you have that fire? Because you talked about that plan about what that I'm going to do this and do this and do this to eventually get to Nashville. But were you on fire to get out? Is that just you in the story?
Yeah. And I don't really know why. I think there was nothing against my hometown. It was truly just that the world seems so big and wonderful and vast and explorable. I'm the person. I know this sounds crazy, but right now, my guilty little pleasure whenever I'm on a plane is I like to bring a Nintendo Switch if I don't have work to do. And I'll play Zelda or I'll play Hogwarts, and I will just kind of explore the Forbidden Forest, or I will explore Hyrule. And truly, it's funny. My boyfriend asked me, he's like, "Do you ever play the missions?" And I'm like, "Not really. I just like to collect
Just go
apples
around.
and you know." Find all the horses or like, whatever it is, the little creatures of the game and collect
Yeah.
them. But yeah, it's something about I love the idea of exploration, and that is one of the coolest things about touring is not only getting to explore new places, but realizing that people from other places can connect with you and you can connect with them. And now I have friends, all over the world, and it's just a wonderful feeling to feel that.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. Everything you just said, I completely agree with. I'm the same with the computer games as well. I often forget
What do you like
to
to
do the thing I
play?
meant to.
I love to just
Red
ask.
Dead Redemption 2. I just literally got
Oh,
so
yes.
just got out just like hunting in the forest and stuff, and I was just like, I should be doing the thing, but the world's just amazing.
The side missions are the best, but in that game, oh man, I always just find myself stumbling upon someone that needs help, and I'm like, "I was out here
Yeah.
collecting things."
Do you feel like Small Town Hypocrite, your song, is that kind of, I know you wrote that later, but is that in a way kind of closing that chapter of, Ellaville and moving to Nashville? Because I felt the story in that song is almost word for word what you said about losing the scholarship and all that kind of stuff. Would you say it's kind of a bit of that sort of, this is the door closing on that bit and now I'm going to Nashville?
Yeah, Small Town Hypocrite it's a true story, other than one line, the 7 years, because that was the one, or and the tattoos. I guess I don't have tattoos, but, I have had familiar scars, emotionally and heart-wise with that ex. But, it was one of those things with that heartbreak, that first true, real, real big heartbreak was the one that was the catalyst for moving to Nashville. Small Town Hypocrite was not even supposed to come out, to be completely honest. I wrote it just in a kinda therapy-ish mood. I was with a fellow co-writer, Jared Scott, and we were just playing guitar and talking in his apartment one day and, talking about old heartbreaks, and I started talking about this one, and I told him the story, and I said, "Well, ain't that some shit?" And I don't know if I can say that on here, but sorry.
You can, you're fine. You're
Okay.
fine. No, you can.
But and we kinda laughed, and we were like, They're just small town hypocrites. It just kind of fell out. And I got to really tell that story and dive into it. But I got this academic scholarship to Belmont University. And at that same time, the boyfriend at the time said that he just could not go on if I left. Like he didn't know what I would do or what he would do. And I did that for a while. I would drive back every single weekend as I was going up there and writing during the week, the summer after my senior year. But it didn't work. I called the university. I told him I didn't want the scholarship. And after that, I found out he's run around on me with A Nurse on the Night Shift, which is a, different country song altogether.
A Nurse on the Night Shift.
Yeah.
I
But
love the alliteration. I hate the story, but the alliteration's great.
yeah,
A Nurse
isn't
on the
it?
Night
I
Shift.
feel like life
Yeah.
is it's a lot more digestible and tolerable, I guess, the hard parts when you go, that's really good songwriting, fodder there. I can use that actually.
Yeah.
And truly though, I mean, that has gotten me through. And that's the beautiful thing about Small Town Hypocrite is through all of this story, being able to tell the story a little bit sarcastically, cussing through it, being just ultimately very vulnerable and scared to put it out because of how vulnerable I was in it and how like I didn't want anyone either in my hometown to think that I was dissing my hometown. What I meant by it was I had the boyfriend would complain about our small town but never leave. Even though I said, look, you have the funds to leave. Like, why don't you move to Nashville with me? Or we'll move somewhere else completely. Just, I want you to be happy. And anyways, he just would never leave. And that's part of what it came from. And I didn't want to I didn't want to do that. So I threw my stuff in trash bags. I moved to town and me and my dog slept in my car for a little bit. Then I found this apartment on Craigslist and I moved in. And it was this little basement apartment with this one big window. And I bought all these plants and they all died. And that's when I realized I need a house with windows. If plants can't live well somewhere, I don't live well somewhere, is what I've learned. Arizona tries to kill me every time I'm there. I'm not a cacti person. Yes. So when we broke up, it was too late for me to get that scholarship back. So I kind of wandered around my hometown for a little bit, just trying to figure out what to do. This sounds bad, but at this point, I don't think that I can legally get in trouble for it. I had a fake ID though. And I had gotten the fake ID because in the state of Georgia, you couldn't play in certain bars until you were 18. So I was 16 and I had this band and we're going around and I can't play at these big venues that all my other friends that are musicians are playing. So I find this girl at another school that got me this fake ID and I start getting these gigs because I can prove, hey, I'm 18 and pay me $700 cash. I'll play 4 hours. And so I'm getting these gigs and I moved to Nashville with that same ID. And I sneak into one of the bars before they start checking IDs later in the day. And I sat in and I waited for the bands to shift. And when the next band came up, I said, hey, could I sing a song? And they said it's $20 or $40 to sing with the band. And I said, well, never mind. And I walked back and the guy's like, hey, wait. Don't you want to sing with the band? Don't you want to sing with the band? And what's funny is once you work there, I understand completely why they do that. You have a lot of people come up and say, I'm a young musician. Please let me sing. And then they get up there and they run off everyone. God bless them, but not really. You can't invite everyone on stage that is drunk and wants to sing downtown if you want to keep the crowd, putting money in the tip jug. So, and that's how you make your bills. That's how you pay your bills down there is solely on a tip jug and like $24 base pay at the time or $28 base pay. It was crazy for 4 hours of work every night. But with all of that said, I remember turning around at that bass player and I said, look, I get paid to sing. I don't pay to sing, but thank you. And I turned back around and I felt very saucy and sassy in that moment and smart. And I turned around, I run directly into this older guy. His name was Greg Humphrey. And he says, well, where do you get paid to sing? And I was like, all over the Southeast. And he goes, okay. And he turns around and he looks at Jeb and he goes, Jeb, don't be an asshole. Let the girl sing. And I got up there and I had my harmonica and I'm singing all these songs. And Greg is standing out there and he's going, a lasso movement with his finger, which means one more, keep it going, one more. So I did about 6 songs, and then I got off stage, and he says, "Do you need a job?" And I said, "Yes, sir, I really need a job." And he said, "Well, come back here tomorrow and go to the back room of Tootsie's, and we're going to have an open mic, thing. You have to technically go to that before I can hire you." I said, "Okay." So I show up the next day, and I sing, 5 or 6 songs. Then he hands me a tip jug, and he says, "Now go run it." And I never ran a tip jug before, and I had to kind of put my pride away and go, "Hey, how much do you think that was worth? Are you willing to pay money,
Wow.
for what I just did up there?" And people were really nice and encouraging and kind. Anyways, I walked back and I gave him the tip jug, and I'll never forget. I mean, I love this man. He passed away a few years ago, but he was wonderful to all of us as young kids down there because he was a musician himself and he got it, you know? He looked in the tip jug and then he looked up at me and he looked back in the tip jug and he goes, "You sing good and you talk slow. People like that. Do you still need a job?" And I said, "Yes, sir, I do need a job." You sing good and you talk slow. And yeah, and I said, "Yes, sir, I do need a job." And he said, "Well, meet me tonight, 10 p.m., 10:30 p.m., right outside of Rippy's, and you'll have the job." And I said, "Well, I got to tell you, I'm underage. Like, I'm afraid that Rippy's will, they're going to take my ID." And he said, "Well, if you walk in with me once, they won't ever ask again." So I got the job. And so I would walk in with him every night and I would play my songs and I would get paid in cash. And then, as a singer, you divvy up the money for the whole band as they're putting their gear away. And then I would go home. And, that's how my career started in Nashville and how my life started. And that's how I was meeting people. And I learned a lot about how many people come from everywhere to just get a little taste of Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
And it's
I was going to say, if anyone listening, sorry to interrupt you, anyone listening, Tootsie's is like one of the most famous venues on Broadway.
Yes, it's the purple building.
Yeah, on the corner. And for you to do that, that's amazing. Did you feel those nerves or was it just, you just in the zone, just doing your thing, you're young, just no fear?
No, it's funny, sometimes when I talk about that time, people are like, "Yes, it must have been so hard." There was something in it that there was a youthful eagerness and hunger for it that was like, "This is the way to get in. Okay, I can be scrappy." That made it fun. It was like a challenge, and it was my first taste at independence and freedom, really, I feel like. Because even when I was 18 and 19, right, that year where I kind of fumbled around in my hometown trying to figure out what to do other than playing local shows, I'm only living 20, 30 minutes from my parents, and nothing has much changed in my life at that time. And when I moved to Nashville, it was a vast difference. And I dive into city living. It was kind of the Beverly Hillbillies coming to town, but it was a wonderful time. And I met a lot of people. A lot of people come to Tootsie's. A lot of people come to Rippy's and Honky Tonk Central. Those were the 3 bars that the same company owned. And so we would play those 3 places, and they all had 3 stages. And there was music playing live Monday through Monday. And it is 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., 2 p.m. to 2:45 sometimes. Yeah, it was just a wonderful, safe ground. I wasn't too nervous about it.
I want to jump just quickly to a few years later, though. So you're signed as a songwriter, you're a staff writer, and then you have this huge traumatic experience. You're away writing, and then your house burns down.
Yeah.
Basically, back in Nashville.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. And Forge in the Fire, that is about your house burning down, essentially, isn't it?
Yeah. And something my dad used to say, he used to say, I was really anxious as a kid. I don't know why. I always felt like I needed to be preparing for something, and I wasn't prepared enough for it, and it was coming soon. And so, yeah, I just remember that he would always say, "The most beautiful of glass and the strongest of iron is forged in the fire." And if you feel like, you are in the fires right now and you need to get out, just remember that you're getting forged for something bigger. You're getting prepared for something
Wow.
bigger. And Yeah, I had to hold on to that, and that saying really came back ironically to me, when the house fire happened. I got the call while I was on this writer's retreat. It was my first writer's retreat that I was an artist versus just a staff writer at Universal Publishing, and, I met Brothers Osborne there, I met Eric Paslay there, I met Tenille Townes
Wow.
there, and, yeah, I became friends with all of them kinda through that traumatic experience. It's funny how trauma builds friendships, or just makes them accelerate quicker at the beginning. But I went back home. I had many friends that helped me through it, and through those experiences, I really realized what mattered, and what mattered was not anything in the house, actually. It was nothing I saved, and it was nothing that I lost. What really mattered, it was the people that showed up, the people that called, the people that cared, and, I realized how loved I was. I had not realized how loved I was, and I never wished that upon anyone, what I went through. Like, my worst enemy, if I had a nemesis, I would hope this would never happen to them. But I do hope that everyone has a moment that I had after it where I realized how loved I was.
But that's, that is you though as well, because a lot of people, you could look at that and go, "Well, God doesn't want me to be here. My house is burnt down. This shouldn't be happening." But your perspective, this constant positivity, with the cancer scare as well. I mean, like I said earlier, you could have gone a different way with that. You could have been like, "Do you know what? I don't know what's happening, but something's not right here." But you've taken that and spun it into a positive way, and I don't know if I would have written a great song about it. If it happened to me, I'd like to think I would, but
I
I
think you
guess
would.
having that, your dad saying that forged in the fire line is, like I said, my son is here with me today, and I often think about the things I say to him, and I don't know if I could be as succinct as your dad was. It's just an amazing thing to pass that on and instill that in you. It sounds like he was such a massive, not just inspiration, but like just really important for you.
Yes, very much so. Both my parents, I mean, it's amazing how much inspiration they've given me throughout the years and support, driving me to different show choir events and stuff. And back when I was doing tennis, all the little competitions in the summer, and just being there for me, encouraging me to be active, like in trying to go after music, but also, in sports and stuff. They have a lot of one-liners that are incredible also. They're very funny. Both of them are witty.
I love that. I just want to jump ahead to something that I find really interesting about you. Well, when I last saw you, you were telling me about your trip to Scotland, and you really enjoy being alone, which you seem like such a extrovert, and you seem like you need people. But you were telling me about this trip. You basically hiked through Scotland, pretty much by yourself for like 2 weeks or a week or something, and
Just a week.
but still pretty crazy, but like completely by yourself, and like you were staying in those little stone huts, weren't you? Just by yourself, like just
Yeah.
hiking.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was, so freeing, and it came in between. I had just finished a, Europe and UK kinda run of, I think, about 2 weeks, and then I had some shows in Canada, then straight back to America to play some stuff locally in Nashville, and so I had this 1 week, though, in the middle where I knew I could fly back to America and just kinda sit around, write, whatever, do my normal life until I have to go back to Canada, or since I've already had this expensive plane ticket to get over here, why not just rent a car and drive up to Fort William and walk around, or, hike around Benevis, and then go up to the Isle of Skye and wander around there and just see what is out there, and just listen to the radio as you're driving and learn how to drive on the left-hand side, which I actually got kinda good at. I didn't kill anyone, and I didn't hit anything, and I'm so grateful. I definitely had, guardian angels, I feel like, in the passenger seat, like, "Ugh," some of those one-track roads when you're going up into the mountains,
Oh.
wow. But it was this beautiful thing where, like, I would just have the radio going, and I can't truly name you anyone that I listen to, and I hate that now, I regret that, but the only thing is, as the music's going, I'm so focused on the road that it was, like, only this unconscious part of my brain that could pick it up, and when I came back, I kept wanting just inwardly to write stuff that had a little bit more of a Scottish flair to it, and just that little bit of more of a, melodic lilt. And when we got into the studio and we found this song, "The Hill," I remember when we wrote it, actually, it had this little lilt to it, and this was before I went to Scotland. When we came back, I said, "Is there a way that I could honor the time I've been there and also the fan base I've been building over there?" Not just in Scotland, but I mean, everyone over there, as far as shows, when it's in comparison to my American shows and Canadian shows, when it comes to Europe and the UK, both, there's an appreciation of country music, or maybe I don't know what it is, maybe the storytelling, but I really just feel seen. And I'm so grateful for that. I love my crowds everywhere, but there's something about the storytelling element that I notice that y'all really like want to hone in on when someone is performing. And I love that.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, I think UK fans are still, they really appreciate people like yourself coming over. But yeah, you're right. We'll sit and we'll listen to every single word. And a lot of people listening will sort of Google you before they've even heard you for the first time. They will know
They do
like, the
back
story.
work. Yes,
Yeah.
very much so.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
noticed that
Do the
too.
homework. I mean, The Hill, it does start off, The Hill, your song, is you can hear that kind of Celtic influence in it massively. Do you have any Scottish heritage?
We do, from the Cooper clan, I guess, is the little Scottish family that is over there that we're connected to. And yeah, I don't know much about it, to be completely honest. I probably need to look into it, but there is something I wondered if it was a heritage thing, an ancestry thing. Sometimes, I go back and forth. I kind of believe in reincarnation, and that sometimes when you have these connections to places, maybe it's that you've gotten the experience in another life to get to see it before. Maybe something is familiar to you for a reason. Who knows? Who knows? That's the thing, y'all. We don't know. And so let me dream and ponder, okay, freely. But yeah, it's also something that I thought was really cool. And maybe this is the reason. I felt the sisterhood when I went over there, as far as with the land. It's buildings I don't know. It's architecture I don't know. The accent is one I do not know. And it's still something about the land that feels as if I've been here before, even
Yeah.
when it was my
I have
first
exactly
time.
the same thing with Scotland. I genuinely do. Exactly the Highlands and stuff. There's something about it just feels, you can't put it
Mhm.
into words. I was going to say, but like I said, it surprises me that you love silence and solitude because you seem so extrovert. But how does that work when you're writing with other people? Because if you need that second, I've written with people like that who kind of just go into themselves for a second. Like, are you able to do both? Can you be quite sort of bouncing off people, but also, or do you really need silence to write?
No, I think there's almost. Do you do a lot of solo writing? I feel like there's almost two phases, or almost. I'm looking at like an amp or an interface. There's two different settings I can, click it over to.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and one is, higher gain to a higher power. It's like me sitting in silence and with just my guitar plugged into this Princeton amp I have, and I'll just sit there with my effects really high on it, and I'll light candles. I always do. I like candles a lot because it's something about it's intentional, and I don't want to leave the room if I have a lot of these long tapered candles lit. So it's like you have to sit here, you have to be here, stay present, stay in this room. And I can just kind of go into almost a trance. I know it sounds weird, but what we've talked about, I think that sometimes as artists, the worst thing that we can do to ourselves is tell ourselves that it's up to us to create everything that we must. I think that we have a lot more help than we ever realize. And that comes in, I think, a spiritual way. I think, that moment when you're writing with two or three people and you're all sitting there, it's like probably 1:30, 2 p.m. Someone's got to leave at 3 to pick up their kids. So you have one more hour and the second verse is not coming together. And it's just, you're landlocked on it, And all of a sudden, after 15 minutes of silence, all four of you say the exact same line, word for freaking word. And everyone just looks at one another. And there's something about, I kind of like to see it as like, do we have just our guardian angels are above us just screaming something? Or somebody is just screaming something down,
Yeah.
like, just get it. This is the line. Come on and listen. So I feel like writing is almost spiritual in its essence, while editing is the logical counterpart that completes the mathematical equation of a great song,
Yeah, that you're so right. I mean, it's funny because for me, it's almost like a drug. What you just described, sitting in a room with one, two, three other people, and you're all searching for this thing, and you go in with nothing. You go in with a few ideas. You all get different ideas, and then you suddenly find it and you hit it.
It's treasure.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I get goosebumps thinking about it. I genuinely do, because for the whole part of the process, going on stage, all that stuff, the bit I love is that moment you just described. That's my favorite thing of anything in the world,
Mhm.
just finding that kind of magic. And before we end, I just want to ask you quickly about, because I feel Nashville is the place for that. And I want to ask you about your life now in Nashville, because like the title track from the new album, Bed of Roses, it feels like sort of celebrating, all the work you've done since you seem, I don't know, just to me, but you seem like you're in a bit of a more settled place in
Yeah,
Nashville and in your life right now.
very much so. I feel like I've finally established roots into who I am and also more so what I'm not and kind of where I want to go forward with the music. I've leaned into a more organic way of, I guess, processing emotions through diving back into music, not trying to find a way around some of the feelings and just writing through it. I think that that record really healed me to be able to make, and being able to work with Dan Huff and John Osborne on the Bed of Roses record was incredible and such a master class. Every time you work with anyone in any capacity, I feel like it's that way, but especially when it's producing your own record, if someone is stepping in and being the co-producer, it's huge. It's a lot of
Yeah, I can
trust.
hear it in your voice as well. There's a difference, I think, actually, from your first record to this one.
Yeah.
Like the freedom I can hear and the way, because I mean, I've said it already, but the control you have over your voice is just unreal. But I feel like you kind of open up in this record quite a bit. You kind of let loose a bit. I just feel like this record's really you.
Mhm. Yeah, very much so. It is some of it is me changing. It's also, I think, allowing my inspirations and the pressures of trying to get to them changed. I think I'm having to do this thing where I'm having to pivot on what opinions I truly value over others. And where I was at that point was, we didn't have much of a budget on the first record, and I was scared. I was trying to sing in ways that I felt people wanted to hear me. I was trying to cut out more vibrato in my voice. I wanted to really, really melodyne because I just wanted to sound perfect. I was scared of not sounding perfect. And I do love that record because it's some of my favorite songs ever. And learning so much through it with a good friend of mine, Mikey Reeves. We co-produced it together, and he just really taught me so much and was such a friend to me through it. I feel like getting my record deal was really hard on me, and I know that sounds crazy. Anytime you say stuff like that, I always worry that someone's like, "Oh, well, they're not grateful." But I like to also talk about it in transparency in case someone else is going through a moment where you finally get something that you've wished for so long. But now this means you have something to lose. You have something that you can lose. You can drop the ball on, and you better not mess this up. And this is your first impression, and first impressions are important. And so I really was putting a lot of pressure on myself, and I was so scared. And it's really nice that even though it was hard having to kind of take 5 years to really get this record where I wanted it, it was also 5 years where I got to find myself and also face some of my fears through that first record. And putting it out during COVID, it was hard. I spent a lot of time at the house in this similar setup, but it was 7, 8, 9 hours a day. And then I would write and do more content. And all musicians and artists that were releasing music, especially that year, was going through it as well. And it taught me so much. And so I'm very grateful for that. And it also, another thing I'm grateful for is it helped me connect to fans. I feel like I really got to know my fans through that ordeal because all we had was to connect online and talk.
Yeah, we had that shared experience of the pandemic, didn't we? But like we
Yeah.
could connect directly. I totally just come back to what you said about the record deal as well. It doesn't sound ungrateful, but I totally understand what you mean. It's been a goal of most artists from a kid, and you get the deal, and suddenly you think everything's going to be different, and it's not the pressure, like you said, and intrinsic pressure you put. I totally get it. Just very lastly, I just want to ask you on the subject of that, like you're part of this really great, it seems like you're part of this great sort of village of artists. You've got like Tennille Towns, Ashley McBride particularly. I listened to Brenda Put Your Bra on earlier, and I mean, that song, I mean, it sounds like having so much fun, but it sounds like, were you having a laugh making that record?
Oh,
It's
of
just, I was
course.
so jealous of it. I was like, I want to be part of that. I want to be in the studio. I want to be hanging out with you guys. It sounded brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, the way we recorded that vocal, at least mine, I woke up one day and I had this feeling that I was supposed to be working. Do you wake up with that energy? It's like a different energy when you have a show day. When I wake
Yeah.
up in the morning, and it felt as if it was a show day. It was a recording day. It was a session day. But I had nothing on the books whatsoever except doing laundry. And so when Ashley called, I had just prayed, honestly, about 30 minutes before she called. And I said, Lord, I don't know why I got this energy, but either give me something to do or take this energy away because it's making me anxious. And Ashley calls. She goes, what are you doing? And I said, I'm doing laundry. I'm not doing anything. And she said, would you be willing to be one of the characters in Lindyville? And through COVID, she had been playing me some of these songs. She would come over and we would have bonfires. And she would play some of the songs, and I would do that songwriter thing. You know, when one of your friends plays you a song that you love, and you're like, can I please get the demo? I won't play it for anyone, I promise, but can I have it so you can jam it later? Well, I was doing that with Brenda, and I was doing that with Bonfire at Tina's and Lindyville and all these different songs that she had been playing once they came back from the writer's retreat, in which they had written the entire record of Lindyville. And I was a fan before I got to be a part of it, which was so cool. And I became Lynette. So I was the high soprano parts in the record. And I went over to John Osborne's studio that day, and we sat on his couch, and Ashley sat beside me, and I had a SM7, just like this microphone right here. I just sang the parts, and we giggled and laughed in between, and we
It
had
was
fun. And
so put your bra
I
on,
talked about like this
bra on.
dance thing. I was like, if we do a music video, we have to do this dance. And it was great camaraderie in a song. And I'm so glad that I think the smile translates, to the music.
Oh, 100%. I was actually running. I was running. I went for a run today, and I was actually laughing as I was running. I mean, I'm so glad I live in the country because no one could see me because they'd have thought I was absolutely out of my mind. I was like, genuinely, put your bra on, bra on. We have really quick fire questions. These can be literally one word before you go. The strangest place you've written a song ever?
Oh, strangest thing, probably on a plane. Probably on a plane, yeah. Or in this little yurt in the middle of North Carolina on a hemp farm.
That is the most Caylee Hammack thing you could have
It
said.
was really great.
I love it. The place you most like listening to music?
Oof. I love having my headphones on. I don't know why. I'm obsessed with these Bose headphones I have. I have to have my headphones on, but anywhere around my house so I can dance.
Nice. Okay. Great. Very Caylee Hammack again. I've got two more. The place you've never visited but would love to go to?
Romania.
Oh, wow.
It's beautiful
interesting.
landscape. I love how green it is. I'm obsessed with how green it is, and I really just want to hike around and see like the castle ruins and everything. I think that would be really cool.
And just very lastly, the place you feel most yourself?
On stage.
Great. Caylee, thank you so much for doing it. I loved your stories. I love chatting to you, and I hope to see you soon. But thank you for being on Country Roads, Caylee.
Thank you so much for having me on Country Roads. And sorry for all my rambling, but it was very fun to go into memory lane with this.
As you can tell, Caylee is a natural-born storyteller, and there's so much more to come from her. I feel like we literally only scratched the surface. If you feel the same, I mean, that hour just flew by, didn't it? Please leave a review or comment below. I genuinely love to hear what you think about each episode, and it also helps us to reach so many more country fans in the world. So it's a win-win for everybody. We also have an accompanying playlist which is up on Spotify featuring all the songs mentioned in the show. Just search Country Roads, a podcast playlist on Spotify, and hit save so you can listen to it anytime you want. This is a production by Spiritland Creative, produced by Emma Roberts and presented by me, Ben Earl. And if you're loving what we're doing, hit follow or subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. And I'll catch you then.